Jim, when a company is thinking about developing and rolling out a big data for sales strategy, is that the domain of IT, the CFO, of marketing, sales? Where do you think the ownership of a project like that belongs? Who should be steering that?
When we do our benchmarking, a lot of times, Brian, we see that way too often it's, well, that's relegated to an IT project. You know, it's technology, let's give it to the tech guys.
Sure.
And I really think it's got to be this collaboration. You know, if we started talking about what's all the information that not just sales needs, but other parts of the organization needs. So if we did a better job of pulling together the right components to generate a valid forecast, well, geez, wouldn't manufacturing benefit from that? Because they know what to build and what to order. How about customer support? They know how to set up to implement customers. Sales, I'd know way be able to predict what's going to happen and when it's going to close in there. So we really think it's got to be a collaborative type of thing. And sales has absolutely got to be involved, because the tech guys could say, you know what, with big data we could answer any question you have. What are the questions?
Exactly.
And they don't know what the questions are. So you've got to be able to go to the sales guy and says, you know, if I was able to go back and segment the top 5% of my most profitable customers and find out what the attributes of those are and do targeted campaigns, that would be a great question to answer.
Yeah, don't leave the questions to the IT team.
No.
They're not going to help. But I think also the sales organization and collaboration with IT can help with the interface for the sales team.
Oh, yeah.
So should that data be ported into the CRM? Should it be a separate, instance of some other software? So what information should the sales team have? I've had some situations where I've seen salespeople overwhelmed with too many information pieces coming in there.
Yep.
And so maybe it's a platform where salespeople look, but is it the interface as well, and how the salespeople should interact with the information?
Yeah, I think it's a huge thing to understand that when you're talking about salespeople, it's a different type of user. If you take a look at like finance, for example, you don't have an accountant that's allowed not to use the accounting systems the company has. Right. So I call it, this is kind of like the indentured servant. Yeah. Use the systems or you're fired. With reps, they're volunteer users. So they've got to volunteer to utilize this information you've done it. So you need to understand how they're working. If they're utilizing a Salesforce.com all the time, then it ought to be integrated into their daily workflow. If they're not using any CRM system, it's got to be a dashboard that's intuitive to them. But we've got to understand that we need to get them to volunteer and to say, this is going to be part of what I do, and we need to be able to make that as easy as possible in order to get them to have that great first experience.
Yeah, so you said two things that are very interesting. One is it has to be integrated into their workflow if they're in CRM, if they're not. And secondly, very easy to use. So training salespeople for days and days and days on a new system is not where it's at. Make it very intuitive, easy to use.
Absolutely. And celebrate success. As soon as somebody's used it really well, use that and promote it to the rest of the sales guys. Hey, Bob did this. I'm as smart as Bob. I can do this too. So they really start seeing how it's applied to their day-to-day life and making them better.